Carlos Quiremba on the line, One Nation candidate in the upcoming state election, calling for less bail, more jail for brazen offenders. Carlos, good morning.
Morning, Matthew, and morning to your listeners.
Yeah, that particular case, that sticks in my mind, obviously, sticks in my craw, as they say, because it's almost offensive to have somebody doing this ridiculous speed and then walking free.
Yeah, you're right, Matthew. Look, I think it's very important that we use the correct language. I think you noted that these sort of actions are foolish. They're not foolish. These are criminal acts that have dire consequences, and they must be dealt with accordingly. I've been looking at the Youth Offenders Act of 1993 and the Bail Act, and I can tell you can drive a truck through some of these prerequisites. We need to tighten these things up and show these kids that there are consequences for their actions, and that's not going to happen every time we just bail them and back out on the street. They know this, and this is why they do what they do.
What are some of those things you want to tighten up? Give us an example or two.
Oh, okay. So if you actually look at the limitations of power to impose custodial sentences, if an offence for which a youth is convicted or found guilty and are punishable by imprisonment committed by an adult, they can be sentenced to detention for a period of no more than 3 years at home in a training centre. Home detention period not exceeding 12 months. These things are a joke. Like, there has to be consequences. If that person had driven down and killed a family or killed, whoever in a car, those people's lives are gone. So I think we need to have punishment that is befitting of the crime, and until we have that, nothing's going to change.
What you're saying is they know they'll get a slap on the wrist, so they keep on offending. No problem.
Not only do they know they get a slap on the wrist, now they're actually brazen enough to take videos of what they're doing and post it on social media.
Yeah.
There is no fear of the police. I don't know about you, but I grew up in an era where if you messed up, you knew that the police would come after you, and then not only that, when you got home, you get a clip around the ears.
So
things have to change, Matthew. We've got to go back to the way it was.
You're talking about mandatory sentencing. So what are you looking at? So what would be the minimum sentence, say, for excessive speed or stealing a car or assault or going to a bottle shop, over and over and bashing the poor worker there who's just a kid himself, but doing the right thing, trying to get ahead, get a bit of money in the bank and whatever, and walking out with armfuls of grog? What would you do?
I would be looking at a minimum of 12 months at the very least. There has to be serious consequences for these actions, and currently they just get put back out on the streets. The other issue that we're having too is that we're struggling to find police. Now, they're talking about recruiting an extra 5,000 police. The police officers I've spoken to have had a gutful. They're sick and tired of locking these people up, and the next thing they're out on bail again. It's a revolving door. We need to address the judiciary, which is another one of our policies, where if a judge actually puts a repeat offender back out on the street after committing a heinous crime, and they do it again, not only will we be dragging that person in, we'll be also asking for a please explain from the judge that actually let them back out again. The whole system needs a big overhaul.
What's a heinous crime in your view?
Anything that inflicts pain, suffering to a victim, anything that was done with intent. There's so many now. I mean, we're seeing kids now as young as, I think there was a 12-year-old that was stabbed up in the Salisbury area this is only going to get worse. It's not going to get better. And if we don't nip it in the bud now, nothing's going to change. Kai and Ma's office reached out to me before the new year to catch up, and these are the sort of things that I'll be bringing up when I do speak to him.
Yeah. All right. So do you expect he'll listen?
Well, I'm going to tell him what One Nation's position is, and we're not going to change or budge. We're going to take a hardline position. And if our jails are full, which I've heard that this is part of the reason these people are going back out on bail, then we'll build another jail. It's as simple as that.
All right. So that's the wish list, and that's all very well and good. You've got the government to have to agree with all of this. I suppose if they need your support, if you get elected at in the March poll, and they end up needing your support, they'll have no choice, I guess, but to start doing some of this stuff.
Yeah, these are going to be non-negotiables. But look, it really comes down to the voter as well. If the voter out there has had a gutful of what's going on, then you have to start voting differently. Otherwise, you're going to get what you get. You keep voting the same, you're going to end up with the same. And, these crime statistics that have been released where they're saying that things have gone down 10% and 5% here and 3% there, these aren't the lived experiences of the people that I'm speaking in the community. They are seeing crime on the rise, less reporting going on, less people convicted. Crime statistics can be used in so many different ways, and but the lived experience can't be changed.
And the thing with stats too, they might be coming down in some areas, but the fact is they went up, and all we're coming down to is, you know, the status quo, the average, if you like. So it's still a thing. It's not coming down to zero. It's going back to where it was before it spiked in some of these cases in the stats. So, you know, it shows it's a problem perceptually. I mean, the government can't win the argument. I don't think any government of any colour can win the argument that we're tough on crime when crime still occurs and the perception is there, and we see the CCTV of kids breaking into homes at Henley or wherever else. You know, it's a real thing.
Yeah, look, I look at things how I was as a father. I'm a father of a 16-year-old daughter. I want to bring her up in a country where I think she'll be safe walking the streets at night. You know, these are the things that I want to go back to. These are the things that I grew up with as a kid, but we're going in the wrong direction. It's as simple as that. I think most of your listeners would agree. We need to do an about-face, and that means taking a harder position on these things. And I know a lot of those bleeding heart lefties out there will say, well, we've got to look after the children and make sure. Not a problem. We'll support things like the Flinders operation. There's a lot of these diversionary programs that we're quite happy to support, but the public safety has to be number one. When you make a decision as a judge, it's about the public safety, not the perpetrator's well-being. End of story.
All right. Carlos Quaremba, thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you.
One Nation candidate in the upcoming state election for the upper house. Less bail, more jail is the title of his media release for brazen and violent offenders.